Hello and welcome to the Daily Aus. I'm Billi FitzSimons.
I'm Zara Seidler.
The mother of a prominent American news anchor was allegedly kidnapped a week ago. NBC Today's Savannah Guthrie posted a video over the weekend saying her family is prepared to pay a ransom to bring her 84-year-old mother home safely. But now, more than a week since the alleged abduction, authorities still don't have a suspect in the case. Today, we are going to explain what we know about the disappearance and what investigators have found so far.
Billi, this is one of those stories that at first was simmering and we weren't sure whether this was something we were going to report on because, it's a US journalist. It's over there. It's not here. But as the days have gone on, this story has just taken on a life of its own and it has become a really, really big one in the news cycle. So I think it's worth talking through and explaining. But I guess in the first instance, just explaining who Savannah Guthrie is feels important because as journalists, we're familiar with her, but for lots of our listeners, they might not actually know her before this.
Yeah, so Savannah Guthrie is a longtime morning show host in the US. So if you think of the Today Show or Sunrise here in Australia, she has hosted a show like that. It's actually called Today there as well. And she's hosted that since 2011. So people in America are very familiar with her. Yeah. If you think of kind of a Nat Barr here who currently hosts Sunrise, she's like that. Now, one thing I didn't know before researching this is that Savannah Guthrie was actually born in Melbourne, Australia. So there is a bit of a local link here.
I did see that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And she was 2 before she moved to the US. So she wasn't here for long, but she was born in Melbourne. And another thing to mention is that Morning Wars, which is the very popular show on Apple TV featuring Jennifer Aniston and Reese Witherspoon, is kind of based on her. So in 2017, during the height of the Me Too movement, her co-host Matt Lauer was accused of sexual assault by their fellow colleagues. And she announced literally moments after she found out about those allegations live on air that he had been dismissed from the show entirely. I remember that day so clearly because it was such a big moment of the Me Too movement. And yes, some people might think that storyline sounds familiar because it's literally the first episode of Morning Wars season 1. Yes.
It is. And it was such a pivotal time for the media, but of course also then across industries. And she, Savannah Guthrie, became almost the face of that through this video of her announcing that her co-host was leaving.
And you can literally see the shock on her face as she is announcing to the world this huge news that she just found out about someone that she had worked with so closely literally minutes ago.
And we just learned this moments ago, just this morning. As I'm sure you can imagine, we are devastated and we are still processing all of this. And I will tell you right now, we do not know more than what I just shared with you. But we will be covering this story as reporters, as journalists. I'm sure we will be learning more details in the hours and days to come. And we promise we will share that with you. And I'm heartbroken for the brave colleague who came forward to tell her story and any other women who have their own stories to tell. And we are grappling with a dilemma that so many people have faced these past few weeks. How do you reconcile your love for someone with the revelation that they have behaved badly?
But moving on from that, because that's not why we're talking about it today.
No, so we're talking about her today because, as you said, just over a week ago, her mother was allegedly abducted. Take us through what happened, because the language about abduction only really started being used the last few days, because before that, her mother had just gone missing, right?
Yeah, now authorities are definitely saying that this is an alleged abduction. So her mother's name is Nancy Guthrie. She's 84 years old. There's actually a lot of footage of her appearing on Today at different moments with her daughter Savannah. Now, she was last seen at her home at Tucson in the US state of Arizona on the evening of Saturday, the 31st of January. So this is a bit over a week ago now. According to authorities, Nancy had been dropped off at her home by her son-in-law at about 9:50 p.m. that Saturday night after having dinner with her family.
And that was the last time they saw her, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So what we now know is that at about 1:45, a camera at her front door was disconnected. This is at Nancy's home, Savannah's mother's home. Then just after 2 a.m., another camera somewhere on the property detected motion, but it didn't record any video. So we don't have any footage of that movement that was detected. The next thing we know is that at about 2:30 a.m., Nancy's heart monitor was disconnected. Then the following morning, Nancy didn't show up to church. She was a devoted Christian. And so that raised alarm bells for those who attended church regularly with her. They spoke to her family, and the family members went to check on her, and she wasn't at the home. She was nowhere to be found. Her phone was there. Her daily medication that she requires to live was still there. Everything was still at the house. And when police examined the property, they found blood on the front porch of her home, which was later confirmed to belong to Nancy.
Hey, I'm Sam. I'm the co-founder of TDA. With one button, 82% of you who aren't subscribed to this YouTube channel can change that and help Australian media. Click subscribe. Now back to the video.
Okay, so Billi, you've just taken us through what happened on the events of that evening, or what we understand to have happened. And now police believe she was kidnapped, right?
Yeah. And they are saying that this is even more concerning because of her health conditions. So like I said, she's an 84-year-old woman. She has existing health conditions, and she needs to take her daily medication literally to survive. And there is a lot of fear that without the medication that at this stage we believe she doesn't have, she could potentially have already died.
Yeah, and that's certainly some of the messaging that we've heard, not just from police, but now also from Nancy Guthrie's children, Savannah Guthrie being, of course, one of them. I think what's been so interesting about this story is the way that her very public-facing daughter has used her own platform to appeal to people around this alleged kidnapping. What have we heard from Savannah and her siblings so far?
Yeah, these videos are incredibly eerie to watch. There have now been 3 of those videos, and they look like they're straight out of a horror film. Savannah is on her couch with her family, and she's speaking to the public in some parts, but there are also parts where she's talking directly to the alleged kidnappers.
And I think what makes this unique is that whenever we've seen Savannah Guthrie, it's been in a very polished, she's on commercial television each and every morning, and she is one of the most public figures on, morning television. Certainly there's a TV show that's potentially modeled off her. And so I think seeing her in this sort of setting is so stark and so different.
Yeah, and it's not often that the journalist who is usually reporting on the news then becomes the news.
100%.
So in the first video, she sends a message directly to the alleged abductors where she says, "We are ready to talk.
We too have heard the reports about a ransom letter in the media. We are ready to talk. We need to know, without a doubt, that she is alive and that you have her. We want to hear from you, and we are ready to listen. Please reach out to us."
So that was the first video. There was then another video of Savannah's brother, again talking directly to the abductors and saying, "We haven't heard from you yet. Can you please reach out to us?" And then over the weekend, another video was uploaded where Savannah told the alleged abductors that she had received their message. So there we are presuming that there has been now some communication between them. And Savannah says in that video, "We will pay for the return of our mother."
We received your message, and we understand. This is very valuable to us, and we will pay.
So we still don't know anything about the suspects at this stage, but we do know that they have sent ransom letters.
What's confusing about this is that we know that media publications have definitely received ransom letters.
Yeah.
What we don't know is how real they are. We know that at least one was definitely fake and someone has been charged in relation to a fake ransom letter. We know that other publications have been sent some other ones, but we don't for sure know that any are real.
That's a really unique part of this, is that Savannah is such a public figure, and the media can be a tool in this case, or it can really impede on whatever is happening. It's such a unique case.
Yeah. There is one that possibly seems to be the most real, or at least from what I could see is being spoken about by authorities as potentially the most real one. A Tucson television station called KOLD received a ransom note, and we have no details of what was in that specific note. or what the alleged abductors are asking for. We also don't even know, again, if the letters are real or if Nancy is even alive, but we do know that this specific one had 2 deadlines. It had one for Thursday and one for Monday, so one for yesterday. Although remember that the days are in US time, so it's a little bit different. But by now, those deadlines have come and gone. We don't know what happens now that they've come and gone. It's all very murky because authorities are hesitant to share any details publicly about the specific details in those notes.
And just quickly before we end, Billi, there have been some reports I've certainly seen online that the sister and her husband could be involved. Have you seen that?
Yeah, this was a theory that I only saw yesterday, and it was after Savannah's sister's home was searched by police. But certainly at this stage, police have not identified any suspects. Okay. They have not said that Savannah's sister or Savannah's brother-in-law is a suspect in this case or are even being investigated.
Okay.
We just know that their home was searched. We also know that the brother-in-law was the last person to see her alive, but authorities have not said that they are involved in any case. We just saw that their home was being searched.
Yeah, look, Billi, this is something that is clearly unfolding day by day, and certainly it's unfolding publicly on social media in a way that perhaps some other cases haven't. So we'll be sure to keep people updated as we learn more. But thank you for taking us through that.
Thank you for listening.
And thank you for joining us for another episode of The Daily Aus. We'll be back as usual with the evening headlines later today. But until then, have a great day.